Hey traders, checking in on the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin is down, testing our recent lows with a slew of bearish news trying to push us through that support. So a key battle is going on. If that level breaks, we're going to be looking at some extreme RSI levels in the short term as we anticipate stop losses will be triggered. And we'll look at what the bulls have to do to prove a hold of that support and whether or not we're going to believe that they can hold that support moving forward. So here we have Bitcoin down at the lows, a bunch of bearish headlines out there. China mining shutting down, we already know about that. Then a Chinese bank saying they're not going to deal with anybody who's been dealing with any crypto, and a bunch of other headlines to go along with that. One headline for me that was bearish that many might not see that way is the fact that MSTR and Michael Saylor put out news today that they've already bought. So their $500 million has been spent, and their average was somewhere maybe 37,000. But why that matters is they bought $500 million and the price did nothing but drop. So that tells you there was a lot more selling pressure than the buying pressure. So when we last checked in, we had just started daily consolidation, and the theme of that video was the next 2 days are extremely important because the bulls need to show up and set this daily high or low, because if they do not, it is a weekly bear flag. We are back testing from EMA resistance. We are rejecting from the 382 retracement on the bounce. And here we are potentially confirming the weekly bull flag. And obviously it was best case scenario for the bears as far as how we responded to daily consolidation getting underway. And once that daily consolidation started, look at the 4-hour time frame, every single bounce failed a trend change. We had some big bounces, including last night, but no trend change, bearish news knocking us down to lower lows. So that 4-hour downtrend is very clearly something that I'm watching in the short term, and I'm not going to be a believer that 31,000 can hold here unless we see a 4-hour trend change for the first time in a week of trading. So bears have complete control, and even they're so comfortable that they know the next time we bounce, we're just likely to set a daily lower high. So here I am back in my mindset of waiting for either a flush of 30,000 and RSI levels getting extreme with stop losses being triggered for me to be looking for an oversold bounce play. And I want it to happen now, because if it happens after a daily bounce and a lower high, that cools everything off. And that would make me more cautious on trying to play a bounce on a 30,000 break than I would be if that 30,000 break were to take place today or tomorrow. So keeping a close eye on RSI levels. And again, bigger picture, a monthly high or low is going to form. It's just a question of, does that monthly high or low form at 30,000, 25,000, 18,000? All of those are possibilities. But again, the bigger picture of the monthly chart is why I am scouting for bounce plays. And my style of bounce plays, the last trade that I took in crypto was this 4-hour oversold bounce, scaled in when the 15-minute RSI was crushed in a waterfall, and sold half on the short-term bounce and stopped out. Entered both Bitcoin and Ethereum, stopped out of both of those positions, but in the end, it's a taco-sized loss, fairly insignificant. Really, it was just the fees that I took a loss on, and that is how I will play any bounces that we see on the way down. So again, if we flush 30,000 and things get extreme and we take out 29, 28, we drop to the 28s. And if I like what the short-term RSI levels are showing me, I will scale in for the bounce and I will exit into, say, a 4-hour oversold bounce. I'll exit half of my position, put my stop under the low, and say, all right, bulls, prove it. Give me follow through and I'll keep holding the other half, or I'll stop out with a very minimal loss, if any loss, and do it all over again. So that's my style of playing these bounces. What the bulls have to do here, and we do have a downtrending support line on the hourly to be watching. You can see it's come into play 5 times in the last 2 days. The bulls have to break 33.5 thousand here, and then we zoom out if they do, and we just scout a 4-hour lower high, anything under 36.1 thousand. So the bulls have their backs against the wall. They're doing everything they can to try and hold these support levels, but they're not proving anything to us on any time frames at this point. And the broader market right now, after a lot of fear on Friday and a weak close, is having a really bullish day out there all over the place, all sectors. The stock market is having a very strong day. And again, it's doing nothing to help the cryptocurrency space. So bears are extremely comfortable, and it's just a question of, do we break 30 and 31,000 now, or do we get enough bounce, enough defense that we bounce and then scout a daily lower high, anything under 41.3 thousand. Dominance chart for Bitcoin, daily high or low, and seeing follow through. 48.69 is the next level we're looking at, but what this shows us is altcoins are dropping faster than Bitcoin on the way down here. And a break of 48.69 will have this weekly bounce getting follow through in the dominance chart, and that will continue to be notable. So the altcoin bulls were attempting to shape up higher lows in these 3-day equilibriums that we were looking at, and we'll just use ETH as an example. So ETH BTC, trying for a 3-day higher low here to remain within a tightening range, but failing to do so over the last bunch of days. And we keep trying to shift this 4-hour momentum, and then we just keep giving it back. So that is showing Bitcoin dominance remaining strong, and the bears keeping control overall. And for me personally, I am a much more significant believer in a Bitcoin hold of support and bounce with follow through if we see altcoin strength as well. If it's only Bitcoin, I am less of a believer, because we want the entire cryptocurrency space to be rising together. And if alts aren't doing it, then I'm still remaining skeptical. I will remain skeptical of any bounces from bulls if alts are not just as strong, if not stronger, than Bitcoin on the bounce. So now we're going to look at a number of coins that are stronger, holding on stronger, the altcoins, stronger, middle of the road, and weaker. And so that's the spectrum that we're looking at. And right now, ETH is probably middle of the road. And again, the weekly time frame, everybody's looking at the low of a month ago. Are we holding the low? How far above that low are we? How much percentage space do we have before we test it? Or are we already breaking it? The weakest names are testing this level now or breaking it. Middle of the road names are like ETH, and the stronger names have a lot more percentage space to go before that break would take place. So just looking at ETH, we're talking roughly a 10% drop to get to a lower low. And you look at Binance here, and Binance would need a 30% drop, 28% drop to a lower low. So Binance has a lot more space to work with to try and set a weekly higher low compared to the low from a month plus ago. And again, the ETH BTC chart, weekly perspective, equilibrium, trying to form, but the bulls are really struggling for that higher low. So here we are looking at both the US dollar and BTC pairing low from 5 weeks ago at this point. And the bulls really need to hold those levels to try and form these equilibriums, as opposed to dropping to lower lows and seeing another clear leg down. So Binance has more space to work with. You can see Binance BTC is not close to that low, which is why the US dollar pairing is not close to that low, as the bulls have a lot more space to work with. So if I'm a bull in Binance, a swing bull, I'm a lot more comfortable with how much space we have to work with to maintain weekly support than I am on Bitcoin or Ethereum. Matic USDT, we're looking for a weekly high or low, anything above 74. So again, we're way above that level, trying for a weekly high or low. Inside bar bear break on the weekly definitely stands out to us. We're testing the low of 2 weeks ago, but the Matic BTC chart is still in a weekly uptrend. Inside bar has not broken bear yet, but we are just looking for a weekly high or low on this pairing. We're not at risk of breaking that low from a few weeks ago. So Matic has been one of the stronger names and continues to remain one of the stronger names in the altcoin space. The weaker names, XRP and Doge. Here's XRP. The low was 65, and we are at that level right now. And the BTC pairing on the weekly is testing its support as well, 2014. We're right on top of it. So we are on the verge of a bear break, which would confirm a weekly downtrend and a weekly bear flag on XRP if that bear break does take shape. And Dogecoin, same deal. It already broke support, lower high and lower low on the weekly, and the BTC pairing confirming the weekly downtrend as well. So again, the weekly time frame can give a lot of clarity as far as who's stronger and who is weaker in the altcoin space. The bears have had a lot of confidence recently And again, just this pullback on the daily chart for Bitcoin, if you cannot change the 4-hour trend, you're not going to shift momentum. And that has been the case now for the last week of trading in a row. So simple statement, if Bitcoin is in a 4-hour downtrend, the bears are still extremely confident. And if I were looking bearish at this point, a break of 31,000, if we don't see any daily bounce, a break of 31,000, I would just be looking for a scalp short trade, anticipating a flush of some stops for some decent gains, but I would anticipate a lack of follow through, at least initially, because I know there's a lot of bulls waiting to buy a break of 30,000. Otherwise, if we hold 30 or 31,000, bears are going to be scouting a daily lower high, knowing that that is the most likely scenario, because anything under 41.3 is a daily lower high. So bears can be scouting Bitcoin to keep it simple, or the weaker altcoins, and bulls, because some of these names like Binance, say Bitcoin does break 30,000 right now, Binance would likely still maintain the weekly high or low support level, at least initially. It will go down with Bitcoin, but it has so much space to work with that a weekly high or low would be the most likely scenario. And it's always more comforting for bulls to have a clear support level to be playing off of than it is to just be hoping that a bounce takes place. Just stopped out of a stock trade after a very nice run on Wish. All right, so I am patient. Again, my mindset, break 30,000 and flush down into extreme RSI levels on a bunch of time frames, and I will be looking to scale in for a bounce play. Don't, and I will just be patiently waiting, because the bulls aren't going to prove anything to me in the short term. It's going to require a daily trend change to try and set up if the bulls are going to prove something to me and get me interested on anything other than a clear flush and oversold bounce play. And again, that's just because oversold bounces are my edge as a trader, which is why that is what I am specifically waiting for. So bears have complete short-term control, and we're watching for a bear break or a 4-hour trend change. One of those two things will take place within the next 24 to 36 hours. And that will have a very notable impact as far as what direction we're looking here for the rest of the week. So congrats to the bears. Nice, solid follow through. It's been a week of the bears here. Question is, can they push it through and break 30,000 and trigger some stops? Feel free to ask any questions. Have those game plans established. If you are bullish, are you an aggressive bull playing off of 31,000 support? Are you a patient bull waiting for a flush like I am? Are you a really patient bull waiting for a flush but still needing the bulls to prove a daily trend change setup? You know, you don't have to be aggressive. If we flush and break 28,000, you can miss the first bounce and say, okay, if it's a big enough bounce for the bulls to prove something to me, maybe I'll scout a daily high or low entry and have a clear support level to be playing off of. If you are bearish, are you an aggressive bear that's going to play a break of 31,000 for a short-term trade, or are you going to patiently wait for the next daily lower high entry or the next 4-hour lower high entry? Again, establish that game plan, what direction you're looking, and then what time frame is the most important for you, and then wait for the trade to come to you rather than constantly trying to react to the shifts in price as they happen. If I know I'm waiting for a daily lower high to short Bitcoin, then I have nothing to think about because that daily lower high is not shaping up. So make it as simple for yourself as possible with clear, cut and dry criteria, and then you wait for that criteria to take place. All right. Do good things. Have a good day. Happy Father's Day yesterday, and we will see you soon.
This is rainbow making weather. More flowers, bee balm, don't know, echinacea, coxcomb, milkweed, sage, pineapple sage, Dr. Seuss lettuce, petunias, carrots and beets, and some rogue chard. Got a lot of garlic scapes I have to cut. Radish to flower. Pollinators dig it. Onions. This is a weed lamb's quarter that's edible. It gets real big. Peas are done. They fell over. There's still a bunch of pods on them. I couldn't keep up. I was giving them away and I couldn't keep up. Flowers. Those are the garlic scapes.